almost done. Smell good, don't they?
Yeah.
I'd ask you to sit down, but you're not going to anyway. And don't worry about the vase.
What vase?
That vase.
I'm sorry.
I said don't worry about it. I'll get one of my kids to fix it.
How did you know?
Oh, what's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything?
Hello everybody, it's my privilege to introduce to you, all the way from the south side of Chicago, the man, the myth, the legend, my Theo, your brother, the Southside Unicorn.
There have been times in my life I've been wondering why. Still somehow I believe we'd always survive. Now I'm not so sure.
Hey, everybody, it's Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, and we are here for a special edition of the Southside Unicorn Show. This is not the Sunday show. We're still going to put the Sunday show out. This is a continuation from Saturday's show, which is What Did He Say?, which was part 1. This is now What Did He Say?, part 2. It's just that complex, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be broke down. I watched the Glenn Beck show where he connected the dots on that level. But there's more things, there's tentacles off of all of this, and we all have a part to play. So this is the Southside Unicorn doing his part, which is to explain exactly what that was you saw with Adam Schiff. Now, if you listen to part 1, you understand the basic premise, which is I'm trying to tell you, he was basically using Jedi mind trick. He was basically using PSYOP information or PSYOP training to cause a reaction in people. Now, logic and philosophy all do the same thing. Commercials do it. You know, commercials try to convince you that their product is the best product in the world. I understand that. You understand that. We understand that actually when it comes to the persuasive idea, it comes out of logic. You know, I took Logic 101 and a couple other courses like that when I was in school. And you understand that persuasion is a natural part of life. I mean, children learn it early on because it's part of a survival mechanism. But as we become adults, as we learn the difference between right and wrong, that same persuasive power, that same manipulative skill, it doesn't stay benign or innocent at that point. It joins the ranks of evil and malicious. And that is where Adam Schiff resides. He resides in maliciousness, evil, wickedness, bitterness. I mean, the dank. He's a danky man. Now, I've been on Twitter, I've been on Facebook, and doing all my stuff out there. You see me out there. Now, there are Americans out there who truly believe that Schiff and Brennan and Comey, that they're actually fighting for the American way. Now, I don't know if they're really honest. You help me figure that one out, really. Are they being honest, or are they just comrades, you know, doing the internet manipulation that we have caught Russia doing? Are there people out there still trying to help the idea? They're disguised on Twitter, they're disguised on Facebook, and they're actually supporting Adam Schiff and Brennan and all of those. And everything in me tells me we know better. No sane, cogent, decent adult is supporting these people. They're wrong as a $2 bill. That's just all there is to it. They're wrong. So, you know, I'm going to try to drill down into it and break this down to you guys. Because, see, maybe some of the people who hear this will clean their brains out. They'll cleanse their minds because they've been poisoned by Adam Schiff. Or Shift. Now, because I hear the president call him Shifty Shift, now I'm just calling him Shift. If you heard that speech live, which I did because it was played simulcast everywhere, you have to have understood what you were listening to be protected from it. If you did not understand what you were hearing, you might need to go and jog your brain and clear that stuff out because you got injected. You got injected. Now, is he a good mentalist? No. Schiff ain't that good, but he was good enough. And that's all he really wanted to do. And in some course in this show, we're going to break his entire 9-minute speech down. It's 9 minutes. So when I do it, we're going to break it apart. I got to stop and show you where he used the interjections. But I can't show you what I'm talking about and not be sure you don't know that I know what I'm talking about. So we're going to go ahead and give you a basic crash course education in mentalism so you can understand what wheelhouse Adam Schiff was working from. The only thing I can say is I said it days ago, so it's already stamped on my Facebook. It's already stamped on my Twitter. It's stamped in my tweets and text messages all over the place. I said there will be more. There will be more whistleblowers coming. No different than Agent Smith in The Matrix when he was trying to take Neo out. He didn't have enough of himself. He could replicate himself. You see what I mean? He replicated evil. And that's pretty much how it goes. If you hang around evil and it sneezes, you're going to catch a cold. You're going to become Agent Smith and not even know it. So be careful. Don't become Agent Smith. But yeah, I knew there would be more, and they're coming. And I think, now this is where, you can't just totally nail it, because you don't know the total workings of what someone's plans is unless you got the plan right there in front of you. But I know enough of what I've seen to tell you that on October 7th, 2019, there will either be more whistleblowers coming or there will be some type of national or international calamity so great as to take our eyes away from this matter and give the Democrats a chance to jump onto something new and hopefully push this into the crevices and the cracks of the walls. Because the number 7 doesn't get mentioned by accident, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't get mentioned by accident in a pulpit. The number 7 is the number of perfection. The number 7 is to cause you to believe that what you're dealing with or seeing at that moment is lucky or perfection. We all know right off the bat that Adam Schiff used the number 7 so many times. Now, we'll break it down more into the show, but that tells me, that should tell you, there's more to come from Schiff and the subversives. Because that's who they are. They're seditious, subversive traitors. And on October 7th, maybe even at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. on West Coast time, because that's the time that he operates from, there's going to be something that will take our eye away from this, or there's going to be something that puts our eye on this so heavily that it's all that's in our brain, and then the mentalists will continue with an even deeper dose of trying to control us into believing that Donald J. Trump must be impeached, that Donald J. Trump has to go. The only reason he has to go in the eyes of some is because he's actually about to do something that hasn't been done in this country in over 243 years. He's going to liberate these lands. Now, in the Civil War, I don't call that a liberation. That was just an equivocation, and we got it figured out. Thank God the North won and not the South. But when it comes to what's happening now, the last time something of this magnitude occurred, the redcoats were coming. And so, of course, the Democrats are going to fight tooth and nail. Of course, they're going to do all kind of wacky tack, to try to get up out of it. And they're going to break the rules. I mean, Rashida Tlaib is talking about arresting American politicians if they don't comply. That's not America, y'all. And you got to ask yourself not so much what's going on with, Attorney General Barr and all these people and Rudy Giuliani. You got to ask yourself, what is up with the Democrats that they're willing to flip over the tables and do all this madness? Did this really reach that height? It didn't. But now let's get into this mentalist thing. I want to teach you some stuff. Let's get ready. Pay attention. Tactic number 1, just fun mentalism. These are innocent fun mentalisms. They're not something designed to hurt you. Some are. Some forms of mentalism, as I showed you or talked to you about in yesterday's show, there's over 200 to 500 different forms of mentalism, and some are very deadly. These are harmless and innocent. I'm gonna teach you one right now. Tactic number 1: how to get a yes for your question. How to get a yes out of something. Here's the example. It's called the nod. Okay. Here's the question: do you want to go camping? Do you want to go camping? It's a simple question. Or is it? At the point you say the words to go, you must be nodding your head in the affirmative. So as you ask the question, do you want to go camping? To go, start nodding your head up and down in the affirmative. And the majority of times, whether a person wanted to go camping or not, their answer to you is going to be yes. That's a form of mentalism. Real quick, tactic number 2. Do you want Italian or Chinese food? Do you want Italian or Chinese food? Put up a hand as you say it. When you say Italian, put up a hand. When you say Chinese food, put up a hand. However, put one hand higher than the other. Not much, just enough to be recognized. And more often than not, the hand that you use for that particular item that's raised the highest, that's the one that people will pick. Do you want Italian or Chinese food? And make sure you have the visual. Make sure that you've created the mental picture. Because without the visual, without the pick, it kind of doesn't work. But once you can get a person to visualize it, and then you do these simple techniques, you will get from that human being, should I say, you will elicit the response that you want from that person. This is the slightest glimpse, ladies and gentlemen, of mentalism. We'll continue with more as we go on through the show, and we'll ultimately end up with Adam Schiff, and I'll break it down what he called himself doing. But right now, we got to take a station break and get some money up in here. We'll be right back after these messages. Go nowhere.
Hi, Joy Villa here, reminding you to tune in to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend Ken White.
Hey, we're back for the second segment. This is Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, on a special segment of what's called What Did He Say?, dealing with Adam Schiff and the impeachment proceedings and the opening that he did regarding that. Now, when we left off, I've given you 2 tips on basic mentalism. We'll continue with just a few more. Number 3, read their eyes. Looking to the left normally indicates lying. Now, go back and remember, when you're looking at Schiff on TV, his left is to your right. His right is to your left. Look at where he has the papers. Look at which hand the papers are in. Look at which way he looks all the time. Now, he did that as a counterweight because he understands these tactics too. That's the problem with dealing with skilled people. That's why you don't want 2 10-level MMA fighters going at each other, because it's going to be nothing but destruction, because he knows the same skills that you know. So they do things to try to counteract them, like put the papers in their left hand, and that way they can say, no, I wasn't looking to the left, I'm looking at my papers. Kind of fogs it up, right? Yeah, more mentalism, more misdirection, more deflection. And that's all this thing is about. You hear Democrats trying to tell you, well, oh, the Republicans don't respect the Constitution. How can the president follow his oath of office? Ladies and gentlemen, I did a show, and the name of that show was called Oath of Office. I did that because there will be times coming forward when the Democrats will begin to say that the Republicans can't keep the oath of office, because in truth, who is it that could never swear the oath of office? The Democrats. And I pointed that out. And they're not dumb to it. They got antennas out there. They know their platform. They understand that if they did win, let's say a Democrat did win, they couldn't even put their hand on the Quran, the Bible, a comic book, whatever they chose, they couldn't do it and swear the oath of office into the United States government as written. So rather than be busted on that, rather than be forced to own that, you will hear Nancy Pelosi now, you will hear Adam Schiff now, you will hear, what's her name, Ocasio, I can't say her name, ladies and gentlemen, because I just can't. What is it, Ocasio-Cortez or whatever? You will hear her, and I know you're not supposed to do that on radio, but guess what? I did it. You know? She's speaking it. They can't even swear the oath of office. They can't swear the oath of office because they know they're cold busted. But we have to start shaking our heads and realizing we're dealing with a bunch of Sith Lords, a bunch of people who have a basic idea of mentalism, and they're using it. That's why, unfortunately, some of our younger people are truly falling susceptible to it. They're just going down, down, down. Now, tactic number 4. Do a Rush Limbaugh move here. Tactic number 4. Use the word because. Go ahead and use it. In fact, it's your best friend, because here we go. Oh, I did it right now, right? Ask this question, for example. Can I cut in front of you in line? Because I'm in a hurry. Do you know that interjecting the word because into that sentence, which would normally get your butt kicked, you at the bank, you at the grocery store, you at McDonald's, whatever, and you've been waiting in line for 10 minutes and somebody tries to walk up and cut in front of you in line, you ain't having that. Neither am I. But now this person walks up. Can I cut in line in front of you? Because I'm in a hurry. It'll work on most people. It's been proven. And why? The word because was used. And it does something to the human psyche. We just give into that. And that's another form of mentalism. Okay? And that was the hypothesis, the idea that I'm offering to you about what, Adam Schiff did. Notice I'm not calling him Senator Schiff, the representative. I'm not, because to me, he's no longer a part of our government. He's a rogue man, and he's dangerous, and we got to do something with him, because we can't have this, ladies and gentlemen. We got to do something about it, and in fact, we actually are doing something about it, because you're listening to this show, and that's what makes a world of difference. Sometimes is, if you get some proper information, and now you're properly armed. Do I get into all those these and thous and super fancy stuff? No. It kills me. And I'm talking about you, Mo Kelly. I was talking about something yesterday. That's my boy. I'm down for him. Crazy about him. But, every now and then he tries to tell people that I make stuff up and that I'm out here just, blowing wah-wah. No, I'm not doing that. But what I am doing is I'm showing people, the bottom line, because that's, to me, at the end of the day, that's what matters. You walk into a store, like my favorite, restaurant back in Chicago, which was Italian Fiesta. If I walk into Italian Fiesta and say, can I get a pizza? I don't want to hear about, Michelo Giuseppe made, pizza sauce back in 1642, and he used exactly these tomatoes from Sicily. It's nice that you people know that stuff. That's called edumocation. That's edumocation. But it is not the same as intelligence. The two are absolutely different worlds, apples and oranges. I'm dealing with the people on the basics. The people have walked up and asked one simple question. Can I get a pizza or not? And my answer back to the people is, what toppings do you want? That's how I'm getting down with the Southside Unicorn Show. Could I, and let me, one day I'm going to go ahead and do that. Could I sit here and do that kind of stuff? Could I sit here and pump you out a show? It would be a dissertation. It would be so sweet and so replete with all of its, footnotes, cliff notes, and all this and recognitions. I could do that in my sleep. I choose not to, and it's getting a little irritating that those that are all bound by the book keep coming at my show, talking about, oh, well, you're not being quite factual because this was this and that. Oh, I'm being very factual. I'm just breaking it down to its common denominator and saving you all a lot of time. I'm not just talking at you, I'm talking with you, I'm informing you, and I want to be informed by you. If I'm the one running my lips with all that stuff, you got friends like this. I know you do, because I got some like them too. You're on Facebook and you just chatting, you just want to bring up a question so people can talk. Just talk about that question or whatever. And in comes that friend, and their friend, I'm not knocking them, I'm just saying. In comes that friend, and they post something that's like 16 inches long. 16 inches long. Worth of what? And at the end of the day, what did it change about what you said? It didn't change a damn thing. All it did was put 16 inches worth of something on your page. Made them look smart as hell. But it didn't change the crux of the question. It didn't change the truth of the answer. It was just long. On the Southside Unicorn Show, we're not trying to do that. We're just, putting the stuff out there. So I'm going to continue to show you, because see, if I can't prove to you that what I'm trying to say is real, now everything is a waste of time. But I'm not going to go like, here and there and there. I'm going to do it like this. Watch this. Here's some more proof that mentalism is real. That speaking to people in certain ways will elicit and cause a reaction out of them. I could say them, but I said them. Ready? Listen carefully. Here's some more mentalism brought at you live.
This is a special mind reading trick that only uses 3 playing cards. We've got the Ace of Diamonds, the 2 of Diamonds, the 3 of Diamonds. Sarah, it's your choice. You could choose the Ace of Diamonds because I said that one first. You could choose the 2 of Diamonds because it's sandwiched right there in the middle. Or you could choose the 3 of Diamonds because 3 is your lucky number. Maybe you think it's my favorite number. Maybe I think it's your favorite number. Whichever one you choose, it's your choice. I want you to think about it for a second and put your finger on one card. You put your finger on the 3 of Diamonds. Mm-hmm. Sarah, I'm going to give you one chance to change your mind.
No.
You want to choose the 3 of Diamonds?
Yes.
Well, I'm so very glad you did. Because you notice that on the bottom of the card box, it says, you will choose the 3 of Diamonds.
What?
This is a great card trick, but more than that, it's really like a mind-reading mentalism trick. Even though there are only 3 options, I'm giving Sarah the absolute free choice to choose whichever one she wants. And the beautiful thing about this is that I can't be wrong. Whichever choice she chooses is good for me. She could choose the 3 of Diamonds like she did. And if she does, it says in the bottom of the box, you will choose the 3 of Diamonds. She didn't see that beforehand, but showing that to her after will certainly impress her. Will blow her mind.
Yeah.
Maybe. If she chooses the 2 of Diamonds, that's okay, because underneath the box, in the cover, it says you will choose the 2 of Diamonds. I wrote that there right inside the box. And finally, if she chooses the Ace of Diamonds, that's okay, because on the back of the 3 of Diamonds, there's nothing. On the back of the 2 of Diamonds, there's nothing. But on the back of the Ace of Diamonds, there's a big black X, signifying that I knew she would choose that one. So whichever way she goes with it, there's always a reason. The only thing you have to do is you obviously have to prepare your card box, and you have to remember which option goes with which. So if she picks the 3 of diamonds, which she did, I have to know that that's the bottom of the box. If she picks the 2 of diamonds, I have to know that that's the inside. And if she picks the ace of diamonds, I have to know that I can't show her that box at all. I just have to turn over the back of the card. The only other thing I should mention, and this is pretty obvious, is that you can't do this magic trick twice in a row for the same person. But you could walk around an entire party if you were doing some strolling magic, and you could do it for different people at different times as long as other people didn't see what was happening. It's a great trick. Have fun with it.
Now, that was another form of mentalist magic. But as you notice, he said you have to know what your options are. So you have to set the pick for this to work. You can't just, throw it out there into the ethos and say, I got this. You got to set your pick. A little bit like the Democrats have been doing. They tried to set the pick with Russian collusion, and they had their people already hand set up. Every last lawyer was a Democrat apparatchik. All the investigations were one-sided. There were never any looks at Hillary or what Solyndra or anybody else was doing or crowdfunding. None of those people were being looked at. Just Donald J. Trump. That, my friend, is writing on the card box. That's the writing on the card box. But like this mentalist said, you're in trouble when you try to use the same trick twice. Because you lose the efficacy because people aren't that damn dumb. Well, here they are trying to use this same card trick, which is Russian collusion, redefined as, the president violating his oath of office, the president betraying America, the president using the office for his own self-serving interests. Those are the 3 sides of the box, ladies and gentlemen. And then Adam Schiff hands us 3 cards, not the deck of cards, just 3 cards of his choosing. And he set the pick because now he's stone cold busted. They asked him nicely, did you talk to the whistleblower before any of this went down? No, I didn't. As we know already, he got 4 Pinocchios for that because he was using that time to write on the card box, ladies and gentlemen. This is a setup from actually a pretty weak mentalist. He's not that good at it. But any attempt to mislead, control, or feed the people a potential outcome is a betrayal of what? The American trust. It violates what? Your oath of office. And look who's doing it. That's the problem with the Democrats. They always project. And so it's Adam Schiff that's doing all of that. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for another station break. We will be right back. Go nowhere.
This is not America. Sha-la-la-la-la. Little piece of you. A little piece in me. Well, this is not America. For this is not America.
Hey, my name is Toot Sweet, and I'm New York City's original artist, singing for the cause of freedom. I've spent the last 10 years of my life documenting history through my music. It's like a recipe that's blessing me, bringing out the best of me, aggressively testing me to create my own destiny and understanding, universally accepting adversity and learn more lessons in life than you'll learn in any. And when I'm in need of a dose of reality to escape the liberal land of make-believe, I tune in to the Southside Unicorn, where the truth is as solid as New York City concrete. My name is Toot Sweet, and you're listening to my friend Ken White on the Southside Unicorn, and this party is just getting started.
And we are back with the 3rd segment of the Southside Unicorn Show special edition, which is part 2 of What Did He Say? It's dealing with Adam Schiff and the opening statements of the pending impeachment of President Donald J. Trump. Now, Donald J. Trump took it to him. I am so glad that we live in this time with this man. History, the ink is wet on the pages, ladies and gentlemen. The ink is wet on the pages as this man blazes a path through history. And all of us who link to him and link to each other, we got to link our arms together and make a chain and link it all the way from heaven back down to earth, all the way around ourselves and back to this president again. That's what we have to do. This is history being made. In fact, the country was forged from people just as us, just like us, because at a time of incredible odds, you know how powerful the British Empire was. And yet these men and women decided to stand. They decided to fight. When you decided to do that against evil, all the angels in heaven clap. Because you're doing something, a lot of people can't do it. I was talking to some people about, schools and teachers and, the kids are beating each other up and killing each other. And the best the teachers can say is, we're not going to enforce any disciplinary actions anymore. Man, I had at them yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of you teachers always, because they see you on Twitter and stuff talking. And then one of them's got to chime in, well, we're not in agreement with that stuff. And it's a good friend of mine. I like the lady. I really do. But I wanted her to understand, I'm not talking about you in particular, because you're going to always have that one person here, that one person there that's not, indicative of the rule. And I wouldn't have friends that were indicative of the rule. But I enjoy this person's company. But she made the fatal error of, and I shouldn't say fatal because we're going to be cool even after this. We're cool right now. Girl, we're cool right now. So if you're listening to the show and you know who you are, love you, baby. But what happened yesterday was she popped off with, well, we're not in agreement with all of that stuff. And I said to her, well, you know what? It would be novel. It would be great to see teachers go on strike for principle, for protecting the kids, and not just for money. So in the day that all these teachers walk out of a school, the same teachers that walk kids out to go protest green earth and global warming, you can take all our children and put them out on the roads and risk their safety for a social statement for Democrats and leftists. No, leave the kids inside the school. And you guys, teachers, you get out there and you protest for principle, not for pay. And then you have something to say about this. Okay? So, we're standing up with this president. We're locking arm in arm, and we're watching history be made. Because Donald J. Trump is fighting these people. He ain't playing with them. By doing what he's doing, he has totally flipped a paradigm shift that we have got to get behind. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we're sitting here, all of us, some of you glued to the radio, and thank you for that. Because, and I'll insist on it, I will insist on it forever. I don't want no cameras. I don't need them. I want you to hear me, and I want to hear you. Because the best things that are going to happen to your mind, body, and soul will come by what? By hearing. You know what I mean. I want you to hear me. I want to hear you. Because the best things in our lives come by hearing. You don't need to see me, And I'm not knocking nobody else out there, but this is how I get down. I just want you to hear what I'm saying. Focus on the words. Now, we can go further into more proof that mentalism is real, and I think we should do that right now. Let me get us back on the track of proving to you that mentalism is a real thing. Because I know when I said it yesterday on part 1, there were people out there going, uh-oh, I even got some leftists, which they're going to do that anyway. I'm so proud of my haters. Thank you. Thank you very much for being my haters. Because what you're telling me is, I'm right. And that's pretty cool. Because they out there, oh, you crazy as bat guano. And so I just wrote that dude back on Twitter. Some of you saw it. And I'm like, you know what? Who has it worse? The person that you believe is bat guano, or the man that's wasting his precious time talking to somebody he believes is bat guano? You know the devil is a liar. You can break a leftist down so fast. Yes, like that. You know what I mean? If you just stay focused on the truth and not be afraid. That is the key. Don't be afraid. Because everything they do is geared to make you be afraid. The first thing that comes out their mouth 9 times out of 10 is WTF or you crazy MF or woo woo woo. Some type of superlative belligerency comes out their mouth the second they get started at you. Oh, you crazy MF and do. Upon a weak spine, upon a weak heart, that makes you faint. You know, they're trying to appear blusterous like giants and whatnot, you know? Just, please, man. I know who runs this universe, and it ain't you. I know that if God wanted to seal up the heavens, he could do it with the snap of a finger, and that ain't you. I know that if God wanted to heal the sick or raise the dead, he could do it, and that ain't you. So, go ahead and, go and say what you got to say. I see you out there, But what I'm trying to say is they coming at this, the first segment, because it's scaring them. These are the things that they don't want you hearing. You can listen to the talking heads all day long. They really don't care. They're a little nervous about it. They don't want too much conservative radio out there because it still bangs and it still hits. But what I'm trying to show you here today, I hope you are listening. I hope you understand what is going on here. This is the stuff that makes demons nervous. Because I'm giving you their recipe. I'm showing you what's up with how they're trying to mess with our kids. Teach this to the kids. Explain it to them. Break it back down to them. And that way when they're in school or in college or wherever they are, and one of these mentalists disguised as a professor, disguised as a teacher, disguised as, hell, their best friend, they will begin to understand. No, you're just trying to manipulate me. You're trying to cause me to have a reaction that would subscribe with you. That's what this is all about. So I'm going to go ahead and show you one more example of the power of mentalism. Bear with it, listen to it, learn from it. Here it goes.
And start to develop more and more and more, because it's not a magic trick. It's not an illusion. It's based on abilities to understand how people are thinking. Right. And today, every week, I'm in a different country performing for lots of places and
so
corporate.
So you're actually reading minds. This isn't a trick.
We'll try. It's not. I don't know what you're thinking. I know how you're thinking. I know the process.
Yes. So this is a gift you were born with, but you can make it better.
It's like a keyboard player. Everybody can learn to play a piano, right, but not everybody will be Beethoven. So you have to have something. You have to be very sensitive to people, to the body language, to the eyes. That's why I'm looking at you all the time. I'm trying to get
get out of our mouth.
No, I can look at you, for example. No, this is perfect because you play football.
Right. Listen. So you don't call this. This is not magic. This is an experiment.
We're doing an experiment. We're doing an experiment.
What's your experiment for us today?
You play football. It's kind of fun because we don't have American football in Israel.
Right.
And I want you to close your eyes right now.
Okay.
And don't tell me nothing. It's only in the mind. I want you to think. What usually is like a football game score? Like a average.
7-0.
7-0 or whatever. I mean,
14-7.
You have millions of possibilities.
Right.
I want you with your eyes closed to imagine one game only, and think of that score of the game.
I got it.
I don't know anything about football, but I know a thing of two of numbers. So I'm looking at you. You're immediately thought of it, right? Because it's not a common
score.
It's not a common score.
This one was not a common score.
Okay. Now tell me something. Did you ever tell this score to anyone in the audience?
No.
Did you ever tell me? Did you tell that? It's fair. Do you swear?
Yep.
Tell that you swear.
You're yelling at me. I swear to God.
Very good. No.
I'm like afraid of you.
No, because people
you're
here.
in my mind and you're yelling at me.
No. I'm doing something here. You're gonna see that everything I'm doing is fine. I don't know what I'm doing actually. I'm writing something here, okay. This is I don't know. These are numbers, right? But I'm not sure. This is a score for football. This is the first thing that came to my mind. Okay, open your eyes. This is the first time you say it, correct?
Yes.
What was the game? Tell me a little bit about the game.
I'm embarrassed to say this. We lost a game in high school.
Oh, no. In high school?
I played a football game in high school. Like as a football player, it's easy to forget the wins,
get it.
but you can't remember bad defeats.
What was the score?
We lost the game 77-50. to 7.
No
I'm amazed about that, and now I'm even more embarrassed that America knows that I actually won a football game 77-7.
That was unbelievable.
A big loser symbol, yeah. That is incredible.
No, but this is the way I work. I mean,
And he's so humble about it. Like, you were like, I'm not really sure.
no, this is interesting. No, it's kind of so. This is an experiment of mind reading. So to understand something, I'm going to show you something about influencing. So let me ask you a question. I wanted you. It's an association game. So think of an object, but don't say. Just think of an object. You got it?
Okay,
So,
yeah.
I mean, everybody can think of different objects. You can think of object. I mean, if I'm right, don't say anything, okay?
Okay.
For example, you can think of something small, something big, or maybe umbrella. That's a nice object. An umbrella, it could be like, but this is not for here. This is something that I'm influencing somebody else. Maybe at home. I don't know. But it could be, I hope it's not umbrella.
No.
Okay. I would be in shock if it was.
You ruled that one out.
Exactly. And now, association game. So think of that object and think of the next association that it gives you.
Okay.
Okay? So now you have something new. And now another association. So now you have something completely new. Right? So there's no way to track this. This is like
You have
something
it?
leads to...
I do. I have it.
So now you have like a final association.
Yep.
And I'm looking at you right now. It's something personal. It brings you a little bit sad. You can see. Okay?
Wow, yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So only the last association. There's something that you got to.
My final one?
What was your final one?
My daughter.
Oh my God! No way!
All right. It's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Leora, thank you so much for being with us here. We gotta go. We'll be right back. Our minds are blown. That was unbelievable.
Okay, and as we build up to prove that mentalism is true, I just got to get this out there real quick so we can start getting warmed up to deal with the mentalist, Adam Schiff. Hey, look, all he did was this. He knew he was going to go on the show. He knows who the hosts are. He did a little bit of research. He understood that this guy was a football player and he was going to be co-hosting, co-guesting with him. And woo, 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 woo. Now, here's where he got them. He brought up the game of football. He brought up the basics of football. One of the basic rudiments of football is the number 7. That triggered the thought that they would be thinking and searching and looking for something that had to deal with the number 7. At that point, when he goes to the football player and says, give me something unique about the game, something you'll never forget, of course he's going to remember the game that he lost 77-7 because the number 7 had already been planted in his head. Now it looks like magic to the 90 and 100, point IQs. I shouldn't say it that way. Let me take that back. It looks like magic to anybody who's not aware of what that really was. And now real quick, on to Mommy. Mommy was being told to think about something. And then he mentioned the word umbrella. Ladies and gentlemen, the word umbrella in rainy weather to an adult brings forth the idea of the Morton Salt Girl. The Morton Salt Girl. Then he said, hey, I'm saying this to somebody that's out there maybe at home. So think about a little girl at home is what he told her to do. And so her next answer would be, my daughter. Mentalism is real, ladies and gentlemen. It was used in the Adam Schiff hearings against our president, Donald J. Trump. And for that alone, he should be ordered to stand down and prosecuted if we can get to that point. Guess what? It's time for a station break again. I'll be right back. Go nowhere because it's Adam Schiff time, baby.
Little piece of you, a little piece in me will die. For this is
Hey, we're back for the fourth and last segment of the Southside Unicorn Show, special segment, which is part 2 of What Did He Say? And it's really important to listen to what people say. So we got to move a little quick here because there's a lot to cover, and we're going to try to get it done as quickly as possible. But I got to go ahead and inject this real quick, which is a hypnotist, okay? Let me get his name right so we get this man proper credit. Got to give everybody credit. If I'm using him on the show, where is this man's name at? Boy, I'll have to go ahead and just use it in the link of the show. But this guy is a master hypnotist, and he proved that he could hypnotize an entire room, and they would never know it until he picked out one of the people from the crowd. This is a quick piece of that tape, just so you can get an idea how powerful words used in the wrong hands or the right hands can be. Mind you, he didn't have no swinging clock, no pendulum. You are getting sleepy. He didn't use none of that. Yet he hypnotized the entire room. If you watch the entire clip, you'll see he actually showed the whole room. I had you all, but I picked this person. And oh, by the way, he'll be using the name Ken. That Ken is not me. There's 2 Kens in this tape, but neither one are me, okay? Let's get going with it real quick so you get a slight taste of what this really is.
Subject. I got a couple folks that I'm going to ask to come forward and help me. Sir, your name is? Ken. You don't have to volunteer if you don't want, but would you volunteer?
I thought that I would be the most unlikely.
Well, then you'd be my favorite. Come on, Ken. You don't mind. Come on up here. I need a chair. May I? I'll tell you, I always get a kick out of this. You think that you'd be the most unlikely hypnotic subject that there ever was in the whole wide world ever, right? Check this out. Take a moment, would you? Would you pick a spot up there, one of those lights on the top of the ceiling? Take a nice deep breath, would you? Breathe in deeply, Ken. Remember how you were feeling just a few minutes ago? Remember that sensation? Just listen to voice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sleep. Way down deep. Loose, limp, relax. Obviously a decent hypnotic subject. Ken's the one who doesn't think he can be hypnotized. I love this. Count of 3, sitting up straight in chair. 1, 2, 3, sitting up straight in chair. Nice deep breath, Ken. Breathe in deeply. Sleep way down deep. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep going deeper and deeper. Loose, limp, relaxed, and unwound. Deeper and deeper, all the way down. Deeper and deeper until I ask you to awaken. All right. I may as well just stick with Ken here. I mean, why? Why look a gift horse in the mouth? All right, Ken is just an excellent hypnotic subject, and please take a lesson from him right away. Ken, for whatever reason, felt that I would not be a good subject. No one could ever hypnotize me. It just can't happen, and yet obviously he is way above average. He's a better than average subject, and all he's demonstrating here is the ability, the capacity to take an image and transmit it into action. Now, in other words, you get a good visualizer, and you ask them to visualize the tips of their fingers as 2 magnets, and the fingers will act as if they're 2 magnets. You ask a good visualizer to imagine a balloon connected to their arm, and the arm will float into the air as if it had a balloon connected to it. Now, what we're going to do, of course, is say, visualize yourself as a master's level CLU, and you'll be driven to be a master's level CLU. Visualize yourself making $500,000 a year, and you'd be motivated to make $500,000. It's those pictures in your head that are bringing about actions. Now, let's take a look at what we got here. Ken is a very good visualizer, and I've asked him to visualize being loose and limp and relaxed and unwound. And once again, you got to admit, this is pretty darn relaxed, folks. This is a...
So there it is. I mean, we could go on into it, but for the sake of time, we got to keep going. We're going to start with Adam Schiff now, because you see, as they have all showed you, I built it up throughout the show, all these different professionals, their names are going to show up in the writings of the post, so you can look them up if you want. But they showed you one by one, by card tricks, by verbalization, by visualization, what they wanted you to do, and the people ended up doing them. Now let's go ahead over here to this nasty piece of cheese, better known as Adam Schiff. Let's just get started.
Without objection, the chair reserves the right to recess the hearing at any time.
He said without objection, then clears his throat. This suggests the behavior of anyone with an opposing viewpoint. It stands separate from the advising of recess. They're just combined into the recess. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Adam Schiff creating his card box as he speaks to everyone.
The presidential oath of office requires the President of the United States to do 2 things: faithfully execute his or her office and protect and defend the Constitution. That oath, of course, cannot be honored if the President does not first defend the country. If our national security is jeopardized, if our country is left undefended, the necessity to faithfully execute the office becomes moot.
He's saying that because what it does is it creates the image in your head that Adam Schiff is higher in authority, higher in principle than even the President of the United States of America. It causes you to abandon looking at Donald J. Trump as the president.
Where there is no country, there is no office to execute. And so the duty to defend the nation is foundational to the president's responsibilities. But what of this second responsibility, to defend the Constitution? What does that really mean? The founders were not speaking, of course, of a piece of parchment. Rather, they were expressing the obligation of the president to defend the institutions of our democracy, to defend our system of checks and balances that the Constitution enshrines, to defend the rule of law, a principle upon which the idea of America was born, that we're a nation of laws, not men. If we do not defend the nation, there is no Constitution. But if we do not defend the Constitution, there is no nation worth defending.
Now, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that was an outside message to those people, those countries that they have illegally communicated with, telling them, wait, we're going to get Donald J. Trump out. Don't listen to him. Don't worry about any military reprisal from Donald J. Trump because he's going to be out. This is how our country is formatted. This is how it's framed. And we're taking care of removing him from all of those canon. As you can see, who's trying to destroy the rule of law? The Democrats are.
Yesterday, we were presented with the most graphic evidence yet that the President of the United States has betrayed his oath of office.
He used those terms to continue to build the graphics that you need to have in order for him to control you. Presented with the most graphic, this term conditions you for incontrovertible, it's a tongue twister for me, incontrovertible bad news. And this word use points your mind back towards pornographic, and thus back at the Russian collusion and the women peeing on the beds.
Betrayed his oath to defend our national security, and betrayed his oath to defend our Constitution. For yesterday we were presented with a record of a call between the President of the United States and the President of Ukraine, in which the President, our President, sacrificed our national security and our Constitution for his personal political benefit.
In using the word our, he has already sided himself with you because he's already lattice-laced the fact that you're standing apart. You're standing apart from President Donald J. Trump. It is a visualization game, and that's what he did. You're now standing apart, and he's part, as we could believe that. Adam Schiff is part of what? Our government? Our America? I don't think so.
To understand how he did so, we must first understand just how overwhelmingly dependent Ukraine is on the United States.
Now, that is a threat to Ukraine, because what he's trying to tell him is, in all of that visualization and everything that's going on, he's trying to remind the Ukraine government Donald J. Trump won't be president all the time. All this stuff is bipartisan, and there's going to come a day when we're going to be back in charge, and you're dependent on us. You better remember it.
Militarily, financially, diplomatically, and in every other way. And not just on the United States, but on the person of the president. Ukraine was invaded by its neighbor, by our common adversary, by Vladimir Putin's Russia. It remains occupied by Russian irregular forces in a long simmering war. Ukraine desperately needs our help, and for years we have given it, and on a bipartisan basis.
See what I mean? That was him giving him a threat that, we will be back in charge one day. You better remember that.
That is until 2 months ago, when it was held up inexplicably by President Trump. It is in this context, after a brief congratulatory call from President Trump to President Zelensky on April 21st.
And hold on, ladies and gentlemen. This is where he's about to go full-blown mentalist. Ready?
And after the president's personal emissary, Rudy Giuliani, made it abundantly clear to Ukrainian officials over several months that the president wanted dirt on his political opponent, it is in this context that the new president of Ukraine would speak to Donald Trump over the phone on July 25th. President Zelensky, eager to establish himself at home as a friend of the president of the most powerful nation on earth, had at least two objectives: get a meeting with the president and get more military help. And so what happened on that call?
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting ready to go full-blown mentalist. And you got to remember that to the listener, that's part of the visual. This is needed by the mentalist to distract your subconscious thoughts and get you close to the ballpark of what he is attempting to have you think. He attempts to appear to be special. This document, he wants you to think that it's a specially redacted verbatim from the call. That's why he's holding on to the papers, looking at the papers as he's saying what he's saying.
Zelensky begins by ingratiating himself, and he tries to enlist the support of the president. He expresses his interest in meeting with the president and says his country wants to acquire more weapons from us to defend itself. And what is the president's response? Well, it reads like a classic organized crime.
He uses the word "it reads," which reminds the listener, which reminds the watcher, which reminds those who are visualizing, he is reading from. He is reading the document, is what he's trying to elucidate to the people he's trying to control.
Shakedown. Shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is the essence of what the president communicates. We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the magic number 7. That number is integral and key into his instructions because this is an instructive to outside personnel. You got to remember, if he is under investigation, his phones are being wired, everything's being monitored. He cannot talk to anybody without those investigators hearing it. So at this hearing, this was one of his most golden opportunities to get a message out to the people that he's been working this program with because President Donald J. Trump snapped the ball so fast.
Listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. On this and on that. I'm going to put you in touch with people, and not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me.
When he did that, ladies and gentlemen, he was giving instruction to his people on the outside, who he wanted to get subpoenaed, who he wanted them to apply extra pressure to try to make sure that they get control over this matter again. He's not talking about Donald J. Trump at that point. He's giving instructions to an outside source.
You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked.
Now, is he cold busted right there? Does that seem like a scene right out of The Fugitive? Does that look like something right out of a freaking cop movie? Don't call me, I'll call you, because they're bugging me. They're listening, man. They're listening. But in a public setting, with them watching the same TV set that we're watching or the same thing we're watching, they got their instructions from Adam Schiff.
This is, in character, what the president was trying to communicate with the president of Ukraine. It would be funny if it wasn't such a graphic portrayal of the president's oath of office.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, he's stone cold busted. Didn't he try to say it was a parody? Didn't he just say it would be funny if it weren't? That's the mentalist at work at that point. And thank God Republicans had the courage to call him up on what he was doing at that point.
But as it does represent a real betrayal, there's nothing the president says here that is in America's interest, after all. It is instead the most consequential form of tragedy.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's enough of the meat of what I'm trying to tell you. It's a dangerous game they're playing. We need to support our president. We need to have his back. Thank you for listening to the Southside Unicorn Show. The Sunday show will be coming out shortly. This is Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, and we are out.